I done got that Omarion Roner. I'm dying, boy. I'm dying. Oh, wait, I'm back. Fuck you.
Welcome to Superhero Stuff You Should Know, and we have one question. You want to get nuts? Today, we're going to get nuts as we explore the Batman 89 deleted scenes. A full dive into storyboards, behind-the-scene photos, you name it. This is Ben, the man who knows too much about Batman 1989, wearing my yellow oval Batman cap, and with me, as usual, are my co-hosts.
Man, we had the wizard, the bat, and the artist last week. I can't do 2 weeks in a row. It's Ballshanks the Third this week.
The bat and Ballshanks the Third.
Well, we got the artist again, I guess.
Yep, I'm here, and you know what? You can't talk about a Warner Brothers podcast episode without your Warner Brothers ball cap. Did you know that, Andrew? You need a necktie, too.
I wish I had the fucking cap. I'm feeling really out of it right now. I don't even own any caps, really.
We can't talk about the movie without it.
I know. This is...
Cancel the episode.
I'm going to get the cap before I get Jokula in the store. That's probably what's going to happen.
I can see that happening. I think for now, we should just Photoshop a ball cap, floating over your head.
Can some fan draw me with a hat or something? Yeah, I'm feeling out of it now. If you guys see the visuals, would you look at this fucking lineup? Oh my god, dude.
Yep.
You guys are killing it over here.
Yep.
Rob's here,
of course,
everybody.
Yes, Rob, of course, beat us to it. He's been the one who's been repping this since the beginning. So.
Hello.
Rob,
I hope you're all well.
Yep.
We are. Thank you, Rob.
In spite of the...
I feel like we had a secret meeting to get this hats thing all together.
Yeah, I know.
If you were wearing glasses and bearded, it'd be an awkward cosplay version of me. I'm just really glad we didn't go down that road, because that would have just been far too flattering for my ego.
I definitely would have needed... Yeah, I would have needed a fake beard at that point.
Yeah. Getting weird at this point.
I thought you were going to say it would have taken me weeks to get the beard. I was like, preparation.
No. Years. So, last time we went over the concept art of the movie. This time we're going over storyboards, photos of deleted scenes. So these are scenes that were cut before production, ones that were written in the script but storyboarded out, and ones that were actually filmed but cut later. So... let's just jump right into it. First off, let's take a look at this thumbnail that shows us a bit of a preview of what we're about to see on here. We got to look at Vicki Vale looking at a couple mini Batmen and a Joker statue. So what the hell is that about? Let's take a look and see.
I don't know what's going on.
Brilliant way to introduce it.
I'm 100% learning with the audience. I'll tell you that much right now.
So at one point in the movie, there's a clone and shrink ray on Batman that Joker uses.
I believe it.
And Vicki wonders which one she should take home. Anyway.
After all we've been through, I believe it.
All right, first off, we're looking at a storyboard of the opening where the Torres family is about to get mugged.
We got one woman twerking here at the fucking bottom here.
That is the prostitute trying to proposition the kid in the movie. So.
Wow.
I like those movement lines.
Yeah, there's got movement lines right up against her ass. For those who can't see the visuals.
That's a bat echolocation.
That's how Batman knows to come down later. Alfred, I sense an ass over here.
Alfred, I'm getting very close to being politically incorrect. Stop me.
Tinglings in the utility belt. Anyways.
Peter Parker shows up. That's my line.
I'll kill you dead, kid. Anyway. Afterwards in the movie, the family gets mugged and Batman ends up confronting the muggers. It's an iconic scene where Michael Keaton says, "I'm Batman." But that wasn't always the case. As presented in the Batman 1989 comic adaptation, this is an alternate version of the opening of the I'm Batman scene, where he does not actually say I'm Batman. He says something different. Zach, can you read it? In terms of the...
You want me to read it in Michael Keaton's voice?
You could, yes.
Who wants to be the thug?
Oh, I got it.
You got it.
Don't kill me! Don't kill me!
You're trespassing, rat breath.
Trespassing? You don't own the night!
Tell your friends Tell all your friends, I am the night.
Now, this feels like a precursor to the Kevin Conroy I Am the Night in the animated series, along with the episode that was literally called I Am the Night. However, I could see why it was changed, because what criminal says you don't own the night? Just out of nowhere.
That's
a little contrived.
Really trying to get Batman to say I am the night.
Maybe you don't own this rooftop or something like that.
I am the rooftop.
I mean,
wait.
Let's be completely honest. In realistic terms, if this was done in real life, you'd be saying, "What the fuck are you?" Like, you wouldn't be saying any of this stuff. But like,
who are you, man?
Yeah, and he just goes, "What are you?" in the movie, which and then you get the Batman, which is so epic.
Yes.
So epic.
Yeah. So I think they went the right way with what we got. Yeah. In the original Sam Hamm script, it was just Batman grabbing the mugger and telling him to do him a favor. And he's like, tell your friends. Tell all your friends. And then he just shoves him away. And I think they felt like they needed a better like button to that. A button in terms of like, sometimes they call it that in dialogue where they're like something that like a great line that ends the scene. That feels like it's the end of the scene. That type of thing. And so I think in the rewrites, they were trying to come up with it, and that's where, this is in the Warren Scarron draft, when he did rewrites on the Sam Hamm draft, where he added the I Am the Night, or whoever might have been in between Hamm and Scarron. But there's another alternative version that was brought up, not in the scripts I found, but in, of all sources, the Death of Superman Lives documentary. So on that, producer John Peters is on there, the man most famously known as the guy who requested the giant spider in the Kevin Smith draft for Superman.
Honestly, he's my favorite now.
He loves a spider.
He loves his spider. Should have worked on a Spider-Man movie, honestly.
Exactly. You got the wrong hero.
How the fuck do you get that far not being able to read 3 sentences in a row? Like, I don't know. It just seems like...
For those who
it's
don't
just
know...
funny, man.
Peters is notorious due to Kevin Smith's story that not only did he request a giant spider in the Superman Lives script, but also when Kevin Smith was pitching him or telling him about the script, Peters would bring up his hands out as if in like both hands shaped in like an L, as if he's watching the screen because he couldn't read. And that's not to make fun of
he can
people,
read.
but
He chooses not to.
He chooses not to read, and he didn't want to read it. So he's like, I want to see the movie. And he just stood there apparently just sat there with his hands out, splayed out like this, as Kevin Smith was talking to him about it. And then he's like, okay, so Kal-El is born, and then Peter's like, hold on a second, hold on. Who the fuck is Kal-El?
I will say this, and this is probably the one good thing. I mean, apart from last week, we said that he saved the Batmobile, and rightly so.
Yeah, that is true. That's true.
But he does have magnificent hair. I mean, he was a hairdresser.
He was a
but
hairdresser,
That's true, yeah.
But he had, even now, he probably has magnificent hair. So
That's true.
But that doesn't mean he should be a creative by any means. Like just because you got really great hair,
put him in charge.
Exactly.
So
he just wants a script read to him. This is how he got to the top of Hollywood, guys.
in the Death of Superman Lives documentary, John Peters claims the original line was not "I'm Batman," but "I'm Batman, motherfucker." The studio apparently made him cut the motherfucker.
The one fuck in the PG-13.
Yeah, I find this really unlikely that this was what really was approved to go in, because it doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the movie. I can't really see Tim Burton or Sam Hamm writing that in. At most, I see Michael Keaton just fucking around on set for a take and just saying like, "I'm Batman, motherfucker," in like one take, and people cracking up, and that's it. And then John Peters is like, "That's great," and they're like, "No, he's just joking." John, please. So
why are you laughing? That was badass.
Wouldn't be surprised if Frank Miller was on the set thinking that.
Yeah.
Try goddamn oh no. Too subtle.
Peters is like, who the fuck is Frank Miller?
Who's Bob Kane?
I don't know who he is, but I like him. Like the cut of your jib, Miller.
So that is the alternative version, but I think what we got ended up cementing itself in cinema history. I would not have changed a single line on that. So
Yeah,
the next one.
perfect.
A lot of what we're going to look at are storyboards done by storyboard artist Mike White, like this one, and a lot of the images come from 1989batman.com, as well as a bunch of like prop auction sites that have these storyboards. The only issue was that they didn't necessarily identify which scenes they were from. So a lot of what Dan and I had to do this week was do a bit of detective work and try to figure out, okay, what could this actually be, and try to put it in some sort of order for it. So this one I think is pretty easy to tell what it is, because it literally says it's Jack Napier on it in Access Chemicals. So he's hiding behind a panel. I don't know about you guys, but to me this looks, let me know what you think, Rob, but this looks very Sean Connery and Dr. No.
I was just about to say, it looks like he's got a Wolf of PPK.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
A
silencer type thing. I think they were just like, let's not draw Jack. Let's just draw James Bond.
Yeah.
So
probably at that point I love, by the way, the fact that they got Pinewood on the side there. I love that little bit detail there. That's really authentic
it's on
there.
Almost all the storyboards, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think by this point they must have not had any signings yet or anything confirmed in terms of Jack, which is probably why they've gone for quite a neutral face here.
Yeah, potentially. Or it's just, they are storyboards, so they don't necessarily have to have the likeness down.
Oh, that's interesting, because I mean, no, it's only because I fun enough did have just in case the topic ever came up, but I do have my storyboards from Crime Alley, and I actually draw to the likeness of the actors just because it helps for the rest of the crew. No, right.
Why can't they be?
No. I mean, because as much as everyone loves the whole stickmen drawing things and this, that, and the other, because they do work to their advantage and everything, and if you've ever seen the Taxi Driver storyboards in particular, they are actually pretty good for what they need to do and achieve and everything. But for me, like these kind of storyboards, I think are craft within themselves. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I just think it goes the extra mile to kind of really pre-visualize the film in every step of the way. And I always say, and I think even Spielberg would say, that I think Jaws as a film as well is saved by storyboarding. I don't know if you've seen the original storyboards for those, but and it's the same with this as well, because I'm sure we'll go into depth with all of these storyboards that we're going to see now. But like the storyboarding for this film in particular is really solid. Like pretty much everything we see, apart from this one in particular, I should say, that what we see on the screen is very much what was pre-visualized, which is really great.
Yeah. A lot of these are really interesting to look at in terms of how much of the movie was mapped out, and then how much was mapped out before they're like, you know what, let's rewrite this entire sequence on this type of stuff. So, which is what we're going to see on it. But yeah, as a heads up, pretty much none of the storyboards I found have any likeness to the actors involved. So
could have been way before they were even cast. They got a lock on the script, and then they're casting while they're doing storyboards. I mean, you don't need a likeness for a storyboard. It's just about the camera angle, the movement, general vibe. But I mean, maybe
if you want to go
cast,
the extra mile like Rob Ayling on his movie, though, then you do it based off the likeness.
It just helps. I think personally, for me, it just for me and the crew members, it does help them much more in terms of the. I mean, look, I'll give you one example, because I mean, you'll also see the comparisons of the '89 movie here as well.
Yep,
so
here we go.
There you go. So you'll see comparisons straight away of the Batman '89 film being an influence, right?
I like
that shot in particular.
That's cool, man.
With the cape. For the listeners, it's the Batman with the cape out, just like in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. And then also I should mention this is all done through biro pen, because it was just how I was trained as an artist.
Nice.
That's cool.
You got the classic lapel, grabbing by the lapel image.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then just one more, which I think is probably the most striking scene from the film. Spoiler alert, by the way, if anyone hasn't seen it. But
at this point, they should have.
Yeah.
This is your third episode with us.
But but all of it is pretty much again stripped right, pretty much from the '89 movie, and a little bit of returns in there as well in terms of the framing and how we did our Batman. But I'm sure you'll either agree or disagree. That does look like Vincent Jerome. But that was because he was the first person to be cast in the film. So again, I was really cautious that when people do look at the storyboards, they don't look at, and also, and I have to be really cautious when I say this as well, from an ethnicity point of view as well. It's also important to show that as well, because how we light skin tones as well, and how we display that on screen as well. So for me, I'm not going to just draw some random person if it's not going to be that person, because I feel like they would be insulted if they saw that as well. Does that make sense? When That's just my process of things. I like to make sure that what's in my head is eventually seen on screen, or the DP has seen it and they go, okay, that is exactly what's being seen on screen. And I don't want to insult an actor by them looking at it and go, oh, so you imagined a white person in this role, did you? And it's like, no, not by any means whatsoever. It's just, and that's happened in the past. That's why I say that. It's speaking from experience. So I don't think by any means anyone in the crew for the Batman '89 movie thought of this at any point.
No.
But for me as a creative, as a director, I just feel like it is important to kind of get that kind of the visuals out as clear as possible on the page, and if that means having the right actors in mind already, that's why I always storyboard later rather than earlier. And plus it's the one which is probably the most therapeutic process of filmmaking for me is the actual getting the visuals onto page, because I think that's when you first see the movie, and that's what I love. That's why I'm really enjoying this discussion already, just seeing what was initially an idea and then fully fulfilled in the film. And again, kudos to the cinematography team, because as I remember, they didn't have a lot of time to film this and get the style or the lighting to what Tim Burton wanted, and to get it in under the couple of weeks that they had for prepping. It's astonishing. It's really astonishing.
Yeah, for that amount of time, it's amazing that they did. So, as I said, some of these are going to be very close to what we ended up seeing, as as you hinted at, Rob. And some of this stuff is going to be very different, as we'll see, because of script changes and the stuff. There was a writer's strike in the middle of the development of this script, in between Sam Hamm's first draft and the draft that finally got there. There were a lot of studio notes, and some sequences that we know and love from it were actually pretty much rewritten on set. They were not in the original script.
Right.
So we'll go into it from there. But obviously the
you want to get nuts?
You want to get nuts scene is not in any version of the script.
They rewrote it that day, right?
I feel like most of that is just Keaton. They're just like, you know what? Try something. So
something in the back of my head, even as a kid watching on VHS, like it's a cool scene.
Yeah.
But something about that scene always kind of stood out to me too. Like you saying it was written that day, kind of like solidified, like it vindicated those feelings from earlier on. Like something was off about it, but it still fits, but it's still off.
Yeah. If you were just like, hey, like one of the big sequences was improvised by the actor or rewritten on set that day, that would be the first scene that you point out to.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, this is interesting, and it's very much like Keaton standing out as Bruce Wayne in that in the movie. Like everything else, he stands out as Batman in the suit. That's the one where I'm just like, that was an interesting take in terms of what Bruce Wayne would do when you catch him without the bat suit, and he still got to do something to protect Vicki. So that type of stuff. Unfortunately, I don't have storyboards if you want to get nuts, because I don't know if they storyboarded it.
They didn't have that.
We'll storyboard it. We'll storyboard it. We'll match it. We'll
Rob,
match
get on
it. And, we'll match it, everything. And there's an amazing meme of that moment. I remember someone posted ages ago saying that scene wasn't originally in the movie. It was just someone filming a documentary during Michael Keaton's lunch break. And they just put it in the movie.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Keaton just threatens Jack Nicholson in his spare time on set. So what we're looking at here are very, very bare-bones sketches of what looks like somebody running on a platform, somebody holding against a railing while shooting down. I was not sure really where these were supposed to be, but I figured this is likely Axis Chemicals, given the railing, given that there's a chase moment to that. There's not really any other setting of the action sequences in the movie that would lend themselves to that. So that was kind of my best bet on these. Again, very bare bones on this. This next one is what looks like Batman and someone else holding on a railing. Looks like it could be a bridge or some sort of thing, some sort of ledge on it. Again, this is likely Axis Chemicals, given the whole railing situation, but kind of hard to tell because it hasn't been completely mapped out yet. So there's that. But what we know for sure is that there was an alternate escape for Batman from Axis Chemicals. In the movie, after Jack Napier falls into the vat, Batman sees the cops coming for him, does a bunch of the bat turns for his whole body, and then immediately throws the smoke pellet down and makes his escape. But it looks like in the original scripts, as well as something that was filmed, Batman actually held up his hands in surrender, pretending to surrender, and then tossed the smoke pellet. This is a photo of Michael Keaton's Batman holding up his hands with the smoke pellet sort of hidden in one of his gloves, and as well as an image of the comic adaptation that seems to show that. So I believe this was filmed, and for whatever reason, they're just like, nah, let's just keep it simple, and he just throws the smoke pellet down and just escapes before they even get to him. So that's what we got here, as illustrated by the great Jerry Ordway. Now,
cool.
After this, our research assistant Dan pulled up a trading card that was very interesting, and it has Joker and Grissom talking face-to-face, which didn't happen in the movie. I have a feeling personally that it's just Jack Nicholson and Jack Palance talking behind the scenes, and they just used it for the trading card because, the actual scene, if it's an actual scene, then like maybe they really experimented with a completely different blocking, because you've got Joker and Grissom standing like right in front of the, Grissom's desk, sort of face to face on that, which, he wasn't anywhere close to doing that in the movie. But it also seems like it's a trading card image, so they wanted something that would capture what was going on in the scene. And the scene itself of the movie is very dark. It's very darkly lit. It cuts between Grissom and Jack. So it's just like, okay, well, we could try to do some image of Grissom being threatened by a shadowy figure, or we could just do this picture of them behind the scenes. It feels to me like they just picked something that would just fit a trading card better. So
yeah, especially because he's not wearing the black trench coat. I'm sure it's just like a kind of like out, behind the scenes, like them talking about everything. Because I've seen another scene like this too, where he has his gloves off, and you can see like he's just Jack Nicholson's hands are just kind of like normal colored. It always struck me as really odd, but yeah, this is something I always noticed too. You don't get a very good look at it, but his suit and everything, I feel like, has dyed through the jacket. So if you see like his black jacket, whenever he comes and talks to Grissom, I've seen some like Polaroids from Bob Ringwood. I don't know if you saw him, Ben. All the behind the scenes stuff. So it was like Polaroids of Jack Nicholson in costume, and to see that jacket after he comes out of the chemicals, I actually saw like there was big splotches of like purple on it and stuff. So I always thought that was interesting that it made his jacket purple, like it was supposed to be a kind of a nod as to like his continuing fashion now that he's the Joker.
Definitely,
Could be inspiration.
The lighting on this also gives it sort of more of a pinkish Cesar Romero looking jacket on here, even though we know that's not really what he wore on
the suit. I thought the suit that he went to Axis Chemicals in, it was kind of a lavender color. If you see him whenever he's like playing with the playing cards before he leaves.
Yeah. It's like not quite the same like Joker purple, but it's got enough of one that you can see how it could like lighten itself into the Joker.
And his shirt's yellow now too, which I think is interesting. It's all like the chemicals kind of turn it into the colors he's going to wear later.
It's like convenient, yes.
The vibe's too candid here. This is just a behind-the-scenes shot. I think the way their expressions to each other, they're just shooting the shit in between shots or something here.
Yeah. I also don't think, there's no way Grissom would let Joker that close to him.
I was just going to say that. I was going to say it feels really out of character, because it works. It works later on when Keaton, when Bruce Wayne goes up to Joker, because he knows he can handle him. He feels like he knows he can handle him, but this guy is about to pull a gun on him, so why would he suddenly go that close to him when he knows the gun's close to the table? Do you know what I mean? When he's about to get the whiskey.
Yeah, that's true. Because Jack probably knows about that gun too.
Well, he says, "Don't bother."
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is likely behind the scenes thing. So unless someone else has more evidence of it, that's what I'm going to say it is. But I thought I might as well include it, because otherwise people would be like, "What about this image?" Something similar to that is one that I got off of one of my own cards, which is this image of Batman and Vicki on top of a platform of some kind. It seems like this is just basically behind the scenes from the museum rescue, because it doesn't really fit into the script. However, I don't really know what the context would be that would require them to be on top of that. Like, maybe this was like before he rescues her and they go down like the big ass line that takes her to the door, but I don't see why they would have needed sort of that floating platform type of thing for that. So I'm not really sure what this was meant to be, but it is interesting to take a look at another behind the scenes photo for this. But this is definitely the Flugelheim Museum sequence, given that Vicky's wearing, the blue outfit. So we've got that, and then afterwards we got a few storyboards here. So we got the Batmobile. So they definitely got the likeness of the Batmobile.
Yeah.
On these, the Julian Taldo take. So it's roaring down the street, and then we also have basically storyboards of the construction crew that causes the Batmobile to halt on this. I figured this was where that belonged because of the fact that we found this random storyboard of construction stuff, and it looks like it describes like a roller coaster, like, you know, camera zoom towards it, a gap, quote unquote, a gap which is clearly too small. I'm guessing too small for the Batmobile to go around. And it says all the time there's the deafening sound of brakes. So I have a feeling this is the perspective of the Batmobile trying to get around it, finds itself caught by the construction crew, and then Batman and Vicki are forced to take the chase on foot. So that takes
They're building the Bat store, dude.
That's true.
For Batman Returns.
Yes.
Yeah, they're just preparing. It's an Easter egg.
Put a pinball machine in there. Put Robin, even though he doesn't exist yet.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So we are going to take a look at another deleted scene here where Batman and Vicki were forced to take the chase on foot after having to stop the Batmobile. And at one point, the Joker's thugs shoot at them, and Batman sees a homeless girl. He rescues her, brings her to safety, and the girl looks at his Batman costume and asks, "Is it Halloween?"
Now, when you say, some say homeless, others say ragamuffin, Ben.
A ragamuffin little girl.
He sees a ragamuffin little girl play walking her doll around the corner, it says in the script.
This is weird, man. Like, you know when you don't hear a word for a long time and then you start hearing it over and over and over? This is ragamuffin has been that way for me the past few weeks. Like, what the fuck, dude? Anyway.
Wait, you've heard ragamuffin again for the last few weeks?
I've been hearing, strangely enough, I've been hearing ragamuffin in my life.
Yeah.
It's in the air. I don't know what it is.
It was to prepare you for this moment.
Showing up again. Yeah. It's all led to this.
Yes. It does not even call her Ragamuffin Girl when she has dialogue. It just says little girl, so that's disappointing. But yeah, she sees him and she's like, "Is it Halloween?" And then Batman, it says, smiles at her before running off with Vicki. This scene was actually shot, and here's a photo of Batman with the little girl on it, as well as another shot I'm pulling up here that's on the trading card. Of course, the trading card's called "Is It Halloween?" With Batman looking around, probably looking to see where the Joker's thugs went so that they can make sure that they're safe. So,
you can interview that girl.
You can see it on YouTube as well. We will probably be watching the scenes that we, have footage of over on our $10 Patreon this month for Batman scenes. So we're going to save it for those instead. So,
good.
Yes.
You gotta pay to see it. You gotta pay to see us watch it.
Oh, man. Well, when you put it that way.
We are gonna react, Andrew, too.
Yes.
It's not just silently
I get it. I get it, artist, bro.
Yes, and you can also join us. You can join us for that. That's what that's for.
Yeah.
You pay to join us. I mean, it's still... Anyway, yes, please join us at the $10 tier.
Anyways, next is the big alley fight between Batman and the Joker's thugs, and as we know from the movie, it originally ends with Batman facing off against the swordsman thug, and he pretty much kicks that guy, and that's the end of it. Impressive work there, but it originally did not end that way. Originally, it was Batman versus Bob the Goon. So,
that's what I want.
Yeah, we got Batman versus Bob, who's got his machete out. For those who had the Bob the Goon action figure growing up, this would have been a dream come true because you would actually get to see like the movie version of what you've been playing with on this. And I believe, unlike the movie, where I think it's clearly either Dave Leah or another stunt double in the Batsuit encountering the swordsman. That's definitely not Keaton. I believe this is actually Keaton in this because there's another video that we'll see in the Patreon with Bob Kane on set while he's watching this exact scene. And it looks very much like it's Keaton in the suit. And you can kind of tell it's him too because his movements feel just very choreographed as opposed to the more sort of fluid movements that you would get from Dave Leah because, Dave's got the big, he's a stuntman. He's got all that background and stuff. So we have a couple images of Batman sort of going back as Bob is lunging at him with a machete. More images here. Looks like Batman's blocking it with a gauntlet. It probably would have shown the same idea that we get in the movie where the sort of the forearm gauntlets that we see with the, the fins on them are actually used to help block a lot of blades. And that was kind of one of the first times we saw that, especially in live action. And of course, I imagine that was inspirational for Batman Begins, when it's just literally shown doing that to Ra's al Ghul's sword to that. So we got this, and it was also on the trading card. Called Slashing Assault. So, so clearly, Batman does. Actually, I'm not really sure how this fight is to end, because Bob does have to kind of get away in order to be a part of the Joker's gang for the rest of the movie, unless Batman just knocks him out and then just leaves. Vicki, that's probably what happened, honestly. But that's kind of what we got here. Maybe that's why they didn't have it. I don't know. I'm not really sure why they didn't have it. Maybe they didn't think the fight was as impressive enough, so they got the swordsman dude. But whatever the case, this is a deleted fight.
I will say it would have been quite underwhelming, because clearly he's no match. Let's be honest. He's no match. And to be fair, it is... again, you question it all the time, where you're just like, well, where the hell did he... we know where he came from. Like, he came over the fence. But the point is like... Where have you been all this time? Why weren't you at the museum? Why weren't you anywhere else? Why have you suddenly turned up? And it's what I love about that scene, though, which I think is really clever on... I don't know whose idea it was. It was probably the DP's or even Tim Burton's idea. But I love the fact that you've got Vicki Vale photographing, but the flashing from her photography coincides with the actual choreography. I love that idea. And
that's cool.
I have a feeling, and I may be, putting words here, but I wouldn't be surprised if shows like the animated television series, when Batman punches, or in Batman Beyond in particular, because I always remember they always, whenever someone got punched, there was always a flash.
A white flash,
like a white flash. I wouldn't be surprised if they were inspired by that, to be honest with you, because it works so well. And then, of course, you get that wonderful Indiana Jones moment, I always call it, where
it is.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's just a kick in the face that will just completely take this guy out entirely. But yeah, it's really cool to see what we could have got, but at the same time, I think we can kind of all guess that it would have been quite possibly the most underwhelming fight in the world.
I can totally see why they decided to replace it, because, as you said, Bob's no match for Batman at this point. So,
which is kind of why it works when he just throws it to one side. He's just like, fuck it, I'm not. Yeah.
Makes him the smartest thug in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
That's why he's the only one whose name we know.
And the number one guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why no one will know your name. He says that to other goons. You didn't run away from the bat.
I got an action figure. You don't get an action figure. You guys aren't smart enough to have action figures.
That's true. This actor, Bob the Goon, who was he? Do you know him?
Tracy Walter. He's actually friends with Jack Nicholson in real life, which is probably what helped him get the role.
Oh, okay. Was he? He was in other movies, I take it.
Yeah, he's in Silence of the Lambs as one of the guys who helps the investigation, where they find the cocoon, I think, in the victim's throat at one point. So he's in there looking very different, because he's got like slick back hair, glasses. He's wearing like a suit. You can't really tell it's him unless it's one of those things where you're just like, that guy kind of looks familiar, and then you look at the credits in IMDb and you're like, oh shit, that was Bob. I had no idea.
He's also in Matilda. He's one of the people that are trying to. Yeah, he's one of the people that are trying to. He's part of the FBI. He's with Paul Rubens. He's like his partner.
Fuck, he is.
There's a speedboat salesman outside of Danny DeVito's house that are trying to, catch him in the act.
He is. Yeah, bloody hell! Wow,
that's a hell of a connection, because you've got Bob, Tucker Cobblepot, and Oswald Cobblepot.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I never saw Silence of the Lambs until the pandemic in 2020. I was
really?
I'm going to remedy this. Yeah.
What'd you think?
Did you like it? Yeah.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
It is.
This has influenced everything. That's what I know. That's what I realized.
No, you can also tell a clear difference between that and like later, like Hannibal or Red Dragon, where they tried to like recreate it with Anthony Hopkins, and you're just like, he's still good in the role. It's just not the same. It's a whole combination of like Jodie Foster's Clarice and Jonathan Demme's directing on that. That really makes that special.
I think it's also really astonishing still that I think, and I may be wrong, but it might be the least amount of time of an actor on screen to win Best Actor.
Oh,
because I think
interesting.
I think he was only in the film for a total, if you add up all his time, 20 minutes, and he wins Best Actor.
If that, yeah.
Which is astonishing when you really think about that. Like, because it should really only have been a supporting role Oscar, but I think they probably just thought, well, we can't really insult Sir Anthony Hopkins here, you know, we can't give. But then they did the same to Judi Dench. They gave her the Best Supporting Actress Oscar for Shakespeare in Love, and she's in the film 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Which is crazy. Which is crazy.
It's amazing. Yeah, yeah. But it just shows how much presence Hopkins had in the and stuff.
Yeah.
I was getting into movies when Shakespeare in Love came out. Like, you know, when I was like a young teenager. I was like, you know, just like really finding that film is my thing, and I'm watching Oscars, and I watched Shakespeare in Love, and I was like, I was a kid, and I was like, man, this movie sucks. It shouldn't win any fucking awards. That's my memory of Shakespeare in Love. But I was like 13 or something, so this movie fucking sucks.
I mean, look, let's be honest. I mean, I know this is not what this is about. We should be talking about Batman here.
No, we'll get back on track very soon.
Shakespeare in Love podcast.
But literally, but let's be honest. I was going to say Shaving Ryan's Privates. Saving Private Ryan. My God, not the porn version. Not the porn version. Saving Private Ryan over Shakespeare in Love. I mean, what? Come on. Like, Shakespeare in Love should not have won that year. I mean...
That's true. That's true. Exactly,
unbelievable that film won over Saving Private Ryan is... You know, what were they thinking? What on earth were they thinking that year?
Agreed.
Well, yeah. I mean, as Andrew said, I'm sure you weren't the only 13-year-old kid at that point who were just like, this shouldn't win any Oscars. They should go to this ultra-violent war movie.
Dude, Saving Private Ryan was fucking badass.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only thing that matters.
Go with the most badass movie. All right, so we're about to go into. We talked about the "You Want to Get Nuts" scene with Vicki Vale's apartment. The Vicki Vale apartment sequence is one out of two of the most rewritten scenes out of the movie. So we had many different versions of this before we got to the actual scene that we remember with "You Want to Get Nuts." So what was the original version? Well, in the original version by Sam Hamm, Bruce is at Vicki's apartment, and then Joker's package, the package with the flowers and stuff, that arrives before Joker shows up. And so Bruce, in order to investigate it, actually has his utility belt on him. And we actually have some concept art for what's in the utility belt. So this is an ultrasound scanner, that concept art for that we found thanks to 1989batman.com. You'll see their watermark on a lot of these. They have a whole bunch of those images. Please visit them and give them some clicks. But this is the scanner, and I was just like, where did the scanner come in? I thought maybe this is the Bat computer stuff, but I went through the script and I found that a scanner is actually shown in the script, where Batman, or Bruce, in Batman mode, reveals he's got his utility belt. Vicky's like, don't tell me you carried it around with you. And Bruce says, I feel naked without it. So he's always got his utility belt on. And it says, quote, he takes out a tiny ultrasound scanner, rather like a stethoscope, with a miniature sonar display where the earpieces should be, and runs it over the package. So I believe this is the concept art for that scanner in the sequence. At the same time, it says that he takes a small gas mask from his belt, puts it on, then slits the wrapping with a steak knife. Now, this is curious because over at 1989batman.com, they had images of a certain device that they weren't really sure where it came from. And my theory is that it's the gas mask from the sequence. Because it looks like a gas mask. And there's not really any other point where, in the script that I could find, where Batman would wear the gas mask. Sure, there's like the gas coming out of the balloons in the parade, but Batman's safe in the he's in the Batwing at that point. He doesn't really need to wear it in that. So I'm thinking maybe this was created for that sequence until they're like, you know what, let's rewrite it entirely and not need to use it. But that is what we're looking at. It's sort of this, it's a huge gas mask, but it's black and it's got this red circle in the middle of it, much bigger than the gas mask that Joker gives to Vicki in the Flugelheim Museum. But that's kind of what we got right now. So
the prop company made it. This is a physical thing.
Yeah.
Okay, it got that far. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I didn't find anything of the scanner, but this is some random gas mask looking thing that's been around, and I think it was probably this. It's the only thing that I could find on it. So basically, Bruce Wayne figures out that the Joker is going to arrive, and this leads into a chase scene, an extra action sequence that is not in the movie. Originally, the scene was going to be Bruce changing into Batman and stealing a horse from a cop in order to go after the Joker. And so to throw Batman off, Joker decides to drive into a circus. Yep, we're about to go into that. This is the infamous sequence of Robin's origin that we got over here. We're looking right now at the Graysons about to perform, and the Graysons are wearing early versions of the Robin costume. And that is an idea that we find, very standard right now, but actually was pretty new at the time, was the idea that Robin's suit is the Graysons, the acrobatic suit that they wore in the circus. That was not incorporated into the comics until after the script was written. So I kind of credit Sam Hamm a little bit for that, and it was also... An early version of that was in the Steve Englehart treatment that we talked about earlier, where in his version it was just like the red vest that the Graysons wore when they were performing. That sort of carries over into the Robin suit. So that was sort of an early version of it. But anyway, we would, of course, see this in live action in Batman Forever in 1995. But until then, this is what the storyboards had. So we've got them going on the trapeze as we got Batman taking chase on that horse after the Joker's van. Dick Grayson sees what's going on here from high above, and down below, Joker, while driving, steals a firework that causes an explosion. And this is dark as fuck, but the firework ends up taking out the trapeze and causing the Graysons to fall to their deaths and burn to death.
Oh my God.
That is
horrendous.
Rough.
Yeah.
Oh man.
They're kind of better off in the comics by just being, just falling from a great height. But yeah, they do that and they burn. And Dick Grayson, of course, is horrified is what he sees and ends up leaping to safety and wanting revenge on the Joker for what he's done. So he ends up leaping from high above and onto the Joker's car right on the top of it. The Joker ends up trying to shoot at him from down below in the driver's seat and ends up stopping the van, and Batman comes to the rescue. And so you got Batman, Dick Grayson, and the Joker and his men. And it's here that the Joker asks, "Don't you recognize your old pal Jack?" to Batman. Because in the original script, Batman did not know at this point that Jack Napier was the Joker. He did not know that it was the same man who fell into the chemicals. So this was to set up the idea that he feels guilty for creating the Joker, and he feels responsible for all the deaths that the Joker is responsible for, including the death of Robin's parents. So that was kind of the original idea from Sam Hamm. This, of course, gets completely rewritten. There's no Robin in the movie, and they changed it so that Joker killed Bruce's parents, not Robin's parents, because Robin's not in it. But yeah, just as a precursor, just a disclaimer, I should say. This is not some ridiculous version where Joker killed both Bruce's parents and Robin's parents. This is just a previous version where Joker only killed Robin's parents. So there's a more full-length version of this shown in animated form. They animate the storyboards with the voices of Kevin Conroy as the Michael Keaton Batman and Mark Hamill as the Jack Nicholson Joker. And we'll be watching and reacting to that as well in the $10 Patreon tier this month. So
that is very good, by the way. I've seen that myself. It's excellent. It's very, very cool.
It's pretty awesome to see. It's the closest we'll see to getting that version of the Robin origin and bringing that to life.
Yeah. I feel like it's a little bit overcooked. That's no pun intended for the burning of the
Graysons.
That was literally not supposed to be. I am a horrible fucking human being. Anyway, but no, I feel like with reason, it feels like it's just too much for a already bloated film, and I think that's clearly the reason why they had to take him out, and I think rightly so. To be honest with you,
Sam Hamm,
Hamm
and Burton did not want to put Robin into it. They're just like, this movie is crowded enough as it is. You just need you need Batman and Joker and all the stuff you need to introduce with it. You don't need Robin in this. The studio insisted on it, and then it seems like Sam Hamm cranked out this idea in like an afternoon. We're just like, all right, well, what if this happens? And we sort of just introduce the Robin origin, but we don't make him full on Robin really that much.
Burton was like, it's Robin or Prince. It's one or the other. I gotta go. Studio was like, Robin's gotta go, I guess. We need fucking Prince in there, goddammit.
I like the idea of Batman on a horse. That's very Dark Knight Returns, which I assume was probably the influence of that.
Yeah, I think that was very much from The Dark Knight Returns, and they wanted that in some way because they then put that in the later scripts where Bruce Wayne takes Vicki on a date to the horses, and so when Sean Young was cast as Vicki Vale, she's like, I got to prepare for this horse sequence, and then she ended up breaking her arm and losing the part. So that's kind of the origin of all this. It all sort of stems back from wanting to have The Dark Knight Returns and this image of Batman on the horse, and then that sort of leads into a Bruce Wayne Vicki Vale scene that leads into Sean Young losing the part because she breaks her arm, and then Kim Basinger gets the role, and they're just like, you know what, let's just not put anybody on a horse in this movie. And then that's the end of the entire thing.
I wonder if like they want a Batman on a horse because it would look good with a cape, like a cape on a horse just looks. They want that visual, maybe. I don't know. It just seems like they're really going out of their way.
Very reminiscent of. I was going to say reminiscent of Zorro because Zorro and Batman had comparisons. I mean, I think Bob Kane even mentioned that Zorro was an influence, and obviously Zorro was on a horse a lot of the time. So I see that comparison in that.
We made this, Rob. We made this video once saying that Batman's from the Shadow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then the only response we got from fans was, "It's not about the Shadow. He was influenced by Zorro and Zorro only." It's like, did you listen to the episode? Ben's case pretty strong.
Yeah,
pretty strong.
They did not listen
also,
to it.
Did you notice? Did you know that you can have more than one influence on a thing?
That's true.
You know, sorry to take a shit on some fans out there.
No,
I don't think they were necessarily our fans, just people commenting.
Yeah, they're not fans, so they didn't listen to the episode.
Yeah.
No, but you are right though that the Shadow is again another influence to Batman as well, as is obviously the Da Vinci, the flying machine. As well.
Oh, right, that's true.
The wings, the
scallops.
For the Shadow, I'm just like, when you literally have a radio episode where a villain makes people laugh themselves to death and die with a smile on their faces, I'm like, it's a pretty strong influence. I don't think there's a Zorro character that does that.
Man, the comments were just so one-sided for that one, man. Like we didn't hear anything else.
I'll have a follow-up at some point where that basically does a tally of just like, okay, here are the Zorro influences. Here are all the Shadow influences. You tell me. But I'll work on that at some point. Yeah. Anyway, so obviously this Robin sequence did not make it into the movie. And they revised it to have a very different sequence where it's just like, okay, well, let's have some sort of action sequence in this. Let's just cut out Robin. And so in later drafts, Bruce Wayne does end up basically doing some variation of what we see in the movie where he tries to help protect Vicki. Joker shoots him, but the bullet goes into something else. In the script, it's like his utility belt that he's has up against his chest. And so Joker kidnaps Vicki Vale, and Bruce Wayne goes up to the rooftop, as we see here in these storyboards, and uses his utility belt to sort of take chase and eventually catch up to Alfred, who will give him the Batsuit. The Joker himself is out to crash a celebration. Because during this movie, there's the whole, this is the 200th anniversary festival. The festival is on, says the mayor. He wants to make sure that even though there's all this terror, that, all his plans are still going. So part of that was unveiling a new statue of the founder of Gotham City, John T. Gotham. But as he unveils the statue, he finds that it's not the statue of the founder of Gotham. It's actually the Joker. And we have an image of the statue that was built, as we can see here. So this version, as shown in Planet Hollywood, is a little different from what's in the script. So the statue, just to describe it for our listeners, is kind of just the Jack Nicholson Joker holding out his fedora and his other arm out. And in the script, though, it is described as, quote, a garish polychrome statue of the Joker wielding 2 Uzi machine guns like they were 6-shooters. Expressionism on acid, end quote. So that's a pretty cool description. But I'm not sure when this was painted, because this is inside of a Planet Hollywood, as you can tell. Yeah. We got a rack of T-shirts right next to him. We've got a neon sign that says restaurant and bar behind him. So clearly that's not the setting that was meant to be in the movie. This is a pre-painted Joker statue. It's more likely what it was supposed to look like in the movie that we see on the set. again, when those guys snuck in on the Pinewood set, they got a picture of this.
This is insane. They got away with so much. But there's no Uzis, though. They didn't do
still
the
no
Uzi
Uzis.
thing.
Yeah, I think it was always, they decided, it's easier if it's just him with his hat.
Is that a crack on the side of his arm?
I think it's where they haven't put it together yet. It's like they took the two molds and pressed it.
Yes,
and,
yeah.
I think the face looks better on this one than the painted one. But when I was reading about it, I did see like this guy take a picture of it in front of Planet Hollywood, and it's huge. It's like, I feel like 2 or 3 times the size of a normal person.
Yeah, as it should be, because it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I liked it being this big statue,
Yeah, because the Planet Hollywood picture kind of doesn't really give it justice in terms of the size of it. It kind of just looks like, okay, it's probably just about like life size standing on something. But you don't really get the scale of it until looking here at the behind the scenes picture of it. So, which makes sense. We do get to see a statue, I believe, of the founder of Gotham in the movie, because he's like, it's right in front of the theater and it's in the beginning of the movie. So it seems like this would be about the same size of that. Now, Zach, you showed me that they have a miniature version of this that was given out as a gift to the crew. And so we're looking at that right now. It is pretty much the same, I would say, on it, but it's not colored in. It's just all sort of gold bronze-ish on here. But man, they really... I'm looking at the eyebrows right now on the statue. I'm like, they really accentuated those on those, or maybe it's just the effect it has in this. But it is not really something that I missed in the movie. I don't think we really needed a Joker statue or the sequence necessarily. It is cool that it leads into an action sequence, but I mean, you can't really do much with like an in-between action sequence, because you can't really defeat the Joker. You can't really bring him to jail yet. It's not the end of the movie. You can't kill Batman either. So it just sort of just ends on a draw where he just rescues Vicki again. But I guess it could have just led to another confrontation between Batman and Joker, because they don't really have a scene face to face until the end. Until the Cathedral sequence. So it could have added that bit. So I'm a little mixed.
Been cool. It would have been cool if the statue that dragged the Joker down the side of the building was his instead of the gargoyle. I don't know how he would have gotten it up there, but that would have been kind of funny that it was like his own image.
Up the stairs.
Yeah,
it would have been just the same as when the ninja comes in, just because. Because.
Yeah.
Like, a statue up here now.
Yeah.
Why not?
What's this doing up here? Do you know what that statue reminds me of? And just this whole sequence as a whole, this idea, it reminds me of an episode from the 66 television series where the Joker, he does like this comedian's museum. There's an episode where he
has
this.
I know what you're talking about.
That's the one.
I think it's one of the first ones. Yeah,
Laurel and Hardy and shit in there, like some old comedians, man.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost a little subtle nod to that idea that he just wants even more of an inflamed ego.
And also, if it was a cathedral, if it was obvious he was in place of Mary or something, a statue of Mary, that'd be kind of cool. With Burton lighting or whatever the DP's name was. Yeah. That'd be kind of fun.
Oh well. Alternate version.
Alternate version.
We got a lot to do. We got to do storyboards. If you want to get nuts, we got to do an alternate sequence where this is in the cathedral. And
we have to build the cathedral life size just to put Joker.
And then you've got Jim Gordon, 70-plus-year-old Jim Gordon, trying to push the statue. Like they try to push it. Like, Gordon, what are you doing? It's a bell. What are you doing? It's a statue.
I should do a push-up this morning. I can do this. So, this is the first half, and we'll be diving into the original version of the big Batwing sequence at the parade, as well as an alternate version of the confrontation with Joker at the Gotham Cathedral after the break.
It's time to tap in with the HyperX Quadcast S microphone. The stunning HyperX Quadcast S features dynamic, customizable RGB lighting, a convenient tap-to-mute sensor, and 4 selectable polar patterns, so it can broadcast crystal clear audio, whether you're gaming, streaming, podcasting, or impressing your remote colleagues and classmates. So what are you waiting for? Join the Quad Squad and tap in today with the HyperX Quadcast S microphone.
Come on in. What can I get you? Sure, I've heard of Hair of the Dogcast. They're that podcast about video games and beer. From the latest gaming headlines to diving deep into the games of yesterday to sampling and reviewing craft beer from all over the world, Hair of the Dogcast is here for the gamer and beer lover in all of us. Available weekly on the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Take a time machine back to before the world went to hell, around the year 2000.
The 80s and 90s were so rad. The movies, the music, the TV, the games, that's what I want to talk about.
If you're cool enough,
join us and listen to Less Than 2000, because that's all we talk about.
Adam and Chad live Less Than 2000.
Lord have mercy, y'all. Do you like hounds? Do you enjoy pooches? Do you find yourself enjoying time spent with that of canines? Talking about dogs, y'all.
As you might have heard, Superhero Stuff You Should Know has now teamed up with BarkBox. For every month, you get a box for your special canine.
Pooches.
Or hounds.
That's right. One free extra month if you go to barkbox.com/superherostuffpod.
Follow the link and you'll get a free extra month valued at $35 and valid for all multi-length plans.
So get the BarkBox for your hound, for your pooch, for your canine.
Your doggo will thank you. Welcome back, and we are ready to dive into the original versions of the final act. So, let's take a look. Getting right to it, we have the iconic suit-up sequence, the one that influenced all the suit-up sequences to come. Every single time you see Batman suit up with the different close-up shots of him, donning the gloves and the belt and all that type of stuff, it is somewhat influenced by this. So, in this version, we actually see a clock strike close to midnight before cutting to Bruce suiting up and donning the gloves here. Next is him donning the cape, and then the insignia takes up the frame, which is kind of sort of what carried over into the movie. But yeah, it's slightly different. Storyboards here, I believe, by David Russell. Now we have a couple storyboards of criminals firing at the Batmobile, presumably when it storms Access Chemicals, and then Batman standing next to the car. So pretty much the standard stuff, but let's take a look at some of the stuff that isn't what we saw in the movie. We have, thanks to 1989batman.com, an entire storyboard sequence of the Joker on parade that was the original version of that. Presumably not with the Prince music, but it would have started with Gotham being looted by people influenced by the Joker. So we open here with these store mannequins, the lights go out in the store, and then the window gets broken in and a bunch of people start raiding the place, inspired by the Joker's chaos. The Joker's men start setting up these searchlights for the looters as the parade starts, and the Joker shows up, but he's in a very different outfit as they're all giving out money. He is in a crown and a big fur coat, so very different from that, as it looks like the thugs are loading all the cash into this machine that'll just spit it all out for everybody. Vicki Vale is revealed to be taking pictures here for her job, and we see the mannequins from earlier that have been stripped of their clothes at this point by all the looters. While she's taking pictures, she nearly gets assaulted by a guy there, but she holds her own and ends up running into Alexander Knox, who picks her up in his car. In the car, Knox does the callback to the line, quote, "A girl could get hurt this way." So that would have had a payoff in this run. And in the meantime, we got the Batwing on the way over to Gotham City. And as the Batwing is going over, it gets spotted by Dick Grayson, as we got over here at the storyboard. So Dick Grayson's just walking around and he sees this. So this does not seem to be in the original draft by Sam Hamm. It was probably added later when they were sort of more about okay, if we were, let's keep trying to add more Robin into this. But it says that the Batwing is in the sky and Dick sees it and he, quote, comes to a decision and hurries off the way he came, presumably to don his Robin suit and join in the big fight at the end. But
so this is supposed to be the same Robin from the earlier storyboard? Mm-hmm. Or is this okay. I thought it was just some random kid, all of a sudden, hey, here's Robin. He sees Batman.
There's your fucking Robin, says Burton. There. Yeah. A 2-second shot of a clip. It's like young Matt Damon or something. So
he's holding a Prince guitar for no reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
Peters is like, I love it.
Back to the parade, the Joker's men keep passing out dollar bills. One citizen tries to get on the float, and the thug ends up shooting him to get off. So that was a lot of That's not in the movie. Yeah, exactly.
Bloody hell.
Vicki and Knox head towards the searchlights that the Joker's men have put out, and Vicki pulls out her camera and gets a shot of a parade float. At one point, a parade float crashes, which is interesting. And Vicki and Knox head towards they keep heading towards it, and Vicki notices the gas pumps that are underneath the floats just before they set off the gas. So that's similar to the movie. The thugs set up their gas masks in place as the looters, quote, die rich by laughing. Dark as hell, but yes, that's what happens in the movie, except without the laughter. So it would have been the whole crowd at that point laughing themselves to death on the ground as the parade goes by, which would make it, definitely would have made it darker. Knox and Vicki get back into the car to safety. They drive away, and Vicki looks around and sees the Joker's procession is approaching further and further, or I should say closer. And as Vicki looks up, she looks in the sky, sees the Batwing, and says, "Look, it's Bruce," as the Batwing shows up. Now, for those who are wondering, wait, why did she just say, "Look, it's Bruce," in front of Knox? This is drawing off the Sam Hamm script, in which Knox actually figures out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. So he's already in the know in this version of the movie. Anyway, Vicki tells Knox here that they have to find some way to tell Batman about the balloons so he can get them away. And as they're trying to plan that out, they end up crashing their car into a fire hydrant and have to rush out on foot. More shots of the balloons here coming up. But yeah, here we go. Some of them we saw last time. We've got this giant elephant one that was not in the movie, but we've got this clown with a party hat and the big nose keeps popping up in the different concept art. So I think they just were very keen on having that version in it. Another shot of the balloons. But we've got this one that's colored in, a colored storyboard here where Knox and Vicki are at the crashed car. Looks like they're getting shot at, or were getting shot at. They're taking cover behind the car here. Notice here that Vicki actually has the traditional red hair, just like in the comic. Not blonde like Kim Basinger, or brunette like Sean Young. This is not shown in the storyboards, but in the Sam Hamm script, Knox is the hero here who decides that he's going to try to alert Batman to the danger of the balloons by hijacking one of the Joker's searchlights and putting a bat insignia on it, effectively creating the first bat signal. So Knox's purpose in the original draft was to create the bat signal. And this could be why there's this concept art that I have here from David Russell with the Batwing and the bat signal shining in the sky, which obviously would not have happened in the movie because the bat signal does not exist until the very end, after the Batwing's been pretty much fucked up. But here, they're both together in this. This is likely just concept art of just general image, but I thought I would include it here just to honor the idea that at one point, Batman from the Batwing does see the bat signal and realizes that's his cue to take out the balloons. So I thought that was cool here.
That's a very big stretch. If you really think about it, that's...
In terms of him figuring it out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's probably... I mean, you're probably going to go into why they probably cut it out, but I think that's probably because even me thinking about that now, I'm like, that's a big stretch for Bruce to really think, all right, oh, hang on a minute, that means I've got to step in and take... That's it's a real... I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a stunning piece of concept, and it's a clever idea, but I think even still that's so flawed, because you'd have to assume that Bruce would know that anyway. So...
Yeah, I hear you. It's much simpler if it's a scenario where, Knox just creates it in order to get Batman there.
Yeah.
Just in general,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I think it works better knowing, when I say knowing, we know now, because we've seen the film, obviously, but Batman looks down and sees the gas... he sees the gas.
Yeah, he figures it out himself.
Yeah, exactly. So...
Yeah. I do love the idea of Knox
me too.
Contributing more to it.
Yeah,
it's just
me too.
Doesn't quite fit in as well as I think it could have in this. But it's
might have gotten his own action figure if he just had done something a little more.
Yeah. So I'm sure Robert Wool knew about that going in, and I'm sure he was somewhat disappointed that his character didn't really get that big moment in it. But
yeah.
He does get to karate chop a door though.
That's true.
That he karate chops the hood of the car.
The trunk.
And it opens. Yeah, the trunk. That's it. Sorry. Do you know what I was going to say? Because we had this discussion at Comic-Con. The boot of the car. He was going to karate chop the boot of the car, but then we had this whole discussion of trunk, boot, rubbish, garbage. Yeah.
Well, we do have UK listeners, so
but there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Some of them would have understood.
Yeah.
There are some. I remember older people in the South some of them did say boot, Rob.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it's mostly trunk in America, but
right.
But yeah, there were some accents in the South, and maybe it's something that kind of died off in America. But yeah, some people did say boot. I think.
Oh, took it from the Brits.
Something. I mean. Yeah.
It's not that easy, by the way, to karate chop the door, the boot, of a car to open it. Right. That's just a myth that this movie's created.
Back then, this was a timeless period in Gotham City. We don't know what type of car that was. That's how they did it back then.
It's either that or Knox has some secret training that we don't know about.
Dude, the Knox side quest. Let's get on
begins.
it.
Yes.
Knox begins. He goes to the temple, and Bruce Wayne's already there. Like, what?
You're just going to learn how to karate chop a trunk open. That's
Knox, get out of here. I don't like you, man.
But I'm going to give you a grant.
Yeah.
That's what he used the grant for. He used it for karate training. Come on.
Yeah, you went to fucking Nepal or wherever the fuck that is.
He went to Japan. I bought it to
Japan. Oh, yeah. He got the, yeah.
He got his own
I want that armor as well.
Could be just like
badass.
Why do you need Robin when you got me?
It's the number one question he gets asked all the time at conventions. No, I didn't go to Japan for karate chopping, for fuck's sake. They just said open the boot and I just did it, all right?
So now we got the Batwing sequence. So the Batwing dives down here, as it says, and then we got a shot of Batman in the Batwing saying, Batman, cool and efficient, looks down and forward. So this is what I was saying as well about there not being much of a likeness, because this is a very weird shot of Batman here. It looks like he's got horns that sprout out from the the front of his head. He's got no neck.
A Daredevil mask.
The cowl is just hanging out with all this extra space in there. Does not fit well at all in this version, but it's just a storyboard.
It's more like 1930s cool. Batman, isn't it?
Batman cool and efficient.
Yeah, that's what cool and efficient looks like.
Yeah, you guys don't know. It looks like he's got like a tin can on his head, sort of shaped into a
Somebody cosplayed this.
Darth Vader bottom to the mask.
Oh, dude, obscure cosplay, man. Yeah, that would be awesome, actually.
Somebody's walking around with just this specifically in black and white, and everyone's like, who the fuck are you? I'm like, I'm fucking Batman. I'm Batman, motherfucker.
If you do a obscure cosplay, I think you do have to carry around the picture of where it comes from.
Yeah.
Just to explain it. But yeah, it's cool, though. I mean, that would be kind of cool, yeah.
I do feel like it's quite a misleading direction here. Batman, cool and efficient. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah,
this is not cool. This is far from cool and efficient. You need to go back to the drawing board with this one.
Okay.
Yeah. This one's not great at all.
I also feel like it takes more effort to draw this. Not to shit on Mike White, but it takes more effort to draw this than it does to draw just a traditional Batman mask. You know, just the traditional Batman. So I'm like, I don't know what the thinking was here.
Yeah, why would he do this? I mean, it's just like, what would Batman's cowl look like in the Bat plane?
Maybe.
Like, why change it so much?
I don't know.
For the oral listener, it's like a very loose cowl around the cheeks, and it looks more like horns on the front than ears on the side.
It's like Bugman.
It just looks it's just really, really off.
The cowl doesn't even look like it connects.
Yeah, like they had to have colored in the space in the cowl between his chin and the rest of the mask. I'm just like, why did you put that much effort in it as opposed to just drawing it flush to his skin? I don't know. But this is what we got. There's going to be a lot of others like this, unfortunately.
Oh, God.
So...
Oh, man.
Let's take a look. So, it says the Batwing makes an entrance from behind the Cathedral Tower and turns down the street levels and then makes a pass above the parade floats. He then gets the sort of cable catcher, the cutter, as it's called, those scissor-type things that are in front of the Batwing to catch the balloons. He's been preparing for this occasion for a long time in order to build that.
If I ever have to take out evil balloons, I'll be ready.
These are going to be perfect. So he heads towards the cathedral. He takes them, and then he heads towards the cathedral to get rid of them. It says he misses the cathedral by inches as he, pilots his way around it and drags the balloons out of the way, and then ends up cutting them free so that they can all go out into space and, pollute the rest of the world. He then...
and they all
Metropolis' problem now.
You take care of these, Clark. So
those two guys that broke into the set were like, "Yay, we saw these."
Yes. So he then loops back here, presumably after flying up against the moon in that awesome shot, because he's trying to get some momentum, but also he's just like, "This will look fucking cool to whoever can see this."
This will kind of badass, dude. Satellite imagery, guys.
Yeah. Is a POV shot as Batman heads back towards the street and ends up pulling up the sights on the Batwing weapon system. The very accurate Batwing weapon systems that does not hit Joker at all in the movie. But here's the storyboards of the machine guns coming out of the Batwing, and then the Batwing firing here with Batman again wearing the bug helmet.
The previous ones called it a Batboard instead of a storyboard. That's awesome.
That's true, yeah.
Do you think that this was a direct influence of, like, say, the first Star Wars, A New Hope? You know, the trench run, the whole, bringing the target system up and all that stuff. Do you reckon?
Maybe, yeah.
That was an influence.
It could have been.
It probably is, yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of, when I was looking through the storyboards there, like, even the way it's framed, even the really awful cow one, I mean... it kind of looked like the frame. Yeah, it looks like Luke, exactly.
Yeah, it does.
And also, we do, funny enough, obviously have Porkins in the film. In this film.
That's true.
Yeah. So
that's right.
As Eckhart, yeah.
As Eckhart,
we got Porkins and we got Big Starklighter. As Harold, as the guy who gets mugged in the beginning. So
yeah.
And of course Lando, but yeah. So
oh yeah,
we're gonna look at early versions of how Joker shoots down the Batwing. So they played around with different versions of the Joker's gun. We've got him decked out in his big fur coat here, so we still got
looks like somebody's grandma in this picture.
Is this supposed to be Joker?
Here's some butterscotch for you, Batman. So it says he, quote, produces his answer from the folds of his robes. That's very suggestive. And fires. It looks like he's firing directly up, like he's right under the Batwing in this one. The barrel is pointing just directly up, as opposed to forward. So we've got this one. We've got another one that makes more sense, where it's sort of the precursor to the long barrel, except it looks like an old school like musket type.
It looks like a blunderbuss or something.
Yeah. We've got another one where it's a rocket launcher, and the rocket says Skyburst on it. I don't know why.
Oh man,
but...
it'd be cool if it said Acme.
Yeah.
It's all Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Would have fit the cartoon nature of it. And then we got one with just a regular gun, which like doesn't make any sense in terms of
boring.
How that's supposed to work.
I like that it's like a little pea shooter.
Yeah.
Like a spun gun.
I guess kind of funny. He's just like boop, and then it just explodes or something. Yeah. So that could be what they were playing with here. But we ended up getting the comically long gun that we have in these storyboards by David Russell that are pretty true to what we got. He sees the Batwing, he reaches in, he whips it out. He says withdraws a very long gun in the storyboard, with the very being underlined. And then it says the Batplane descends towards him, downshot on the Joker, past the barrel, he fires, and then we have a shot of him sort of looking. It says he laughs maniacally as the Batplane swoops down over him, about to crash, and we get more. Here's more Batman in the Batwing.
Oh my lord!
He's about to crash. His bug horns are
fucking
getting
ears. Oh my
That's like
God.
a kid in a Batman costume right now.
Not so cool and efficient, are we?
Looks like he's about to say "gee whiz."
Gee whiz!
Oh,
Yeah.
gee whiz!
Should have fixed those
got
targeting
me.
systems. And then here's an exterior of the Batwing as it crashes down into the street. So it was supposed to bounce and then bounce a second time until finally it crash lands on the steps of the cathedral or on the street, as we have here. So we have coming up a fascinating storyboard that Dan showed to me. It looks like the Joker catches up to the Batman in the Batwing, with Batman still in it because he is, quote, racked with pain and that he, quote, cannot free himself because the cape is caught in the Batwing.
Oh shit!
And so Joker brings the barrel up to Batman, and I don't know where it would have gone from there because, by all intents and purposes, Batman should be dead at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the alternate ending. He just shoots him and then just dun.
It's like the Dark Knight. It's the Dark Knight, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He comes up to a wounded bat. Yeah.
We need 70-year-old Gordon to come out and be like, "We got you, you son of a bitch."
This is when Knox comes to save the day.
Yeah. It was karate chop.
Karate chop.
Karate chops the gun.
But yeah, this leads into an interesting discussion here because Sam Hamm, at one point in different drafts, wanted to address the cape's lack of practicality and had a whole bunch of ideas in terms of showing that. So showing that dramatically it would fuck up Batman. So we got this from a version of the movie. And then we got this other thing from an interview where he basically talked about a whole bunch. He kind of went on this rant. So Sam Hamm says, quote, Batman also wears a cape, which is stupid. A guy who goes swinging around on ropes and getting into fights does not want to wear a cape. So I wanted a scene where the fact that he wears a cape screws him up horribly. I wrote this extraordinarily Baroque scene. So this is a completely alternate version of the finale that takes place in a subway that I have not found in any of the drafts. There's no storyboards of this, but I thought we might as well talk about it here. So it says, it was a scene where Batman in the movie's finale pursues the Joker down into a subway. All the power has been cut, and Batman just about gets him pinned because the Joker runs into a stalled subway train. Suddenly the power comes back on. The Joker is close enough that he's able to climb onto the front of the train. But where Batman has been pursuing the Joker, now the Joker is hanging on the prow of the subway train and bearing down on Batman, who has no place to go. Batman ends up ducking into this little alcove and backing up against the wall, but his cape billows out and snags on the side of the subway car. Whoops. So he's yanked out and is dragged for this quarter-of-a-mile ride where he's banging into the walls and is totally beat up. His leg is broken. He's staggering by the time it stops. We cut that. Rightfully so, because honestly, it just sounds like Sam Hamm wrote this because he's just like, I want a scene where Batman gets the shit kicked out of him because his cape gets
caught. His cape makes him cool. We don't want to make it seem like a negative in the film.
Well, and also he's a bat.
Yeah.
He's a bat. So, he has to have the wings. So,
yeah.
I mean, look, I know someone's going to say, but what about Batman Beyond? Yeah, that's different. So I'm just defending myself.
Still has wings. Yeah.
But I just, do you know what that makes me think of? It makes me think of No Capes from The Incredibles right there. It's the same attitude right there, which I think is, I get there's the believability of things and this, that, and the other, but, then we could break down the entire suit like we did last time, where you just said, well, he's in a full rubber suit, so of course he's not going to be able to get out of the thing quick enough. It's not because he's got the cape or anything, but I'm glad they cut this because I think you would have had a riot. Put it this way.
Yeah, he's already fucked up for the Batwing, so you don't need him to get fucked up again because of his cape. It doesn't really add anything to it other than just seeing Batman get beat up again, which is we got plenty of it in the movie, and being able to see him fight against that and push through that is really awesome in the movie, but it didn't require a whole subway sequence. And look at how much money this would have been too, to be you got this whole subway sequence, he's dragged by the train, we need this train, we need a subway set. No, you don't need any of this shit.
Yeah, agreed.
You don't need a whole scene to show how stupid you think a very important part of the mythology is.
If anything, he's the main superhero where the cape makes sense, because everyone else doesn't really need the cape.
It's just like his jaw being exposed. It's just you just got to accept some things, man.
More than his jaw being exposed. If we follow these storyboards with that bug helmet.
Yeah. It's just let it go, man. This is part fantasy here.
Yeah. So glad we cut that. But let's go further into the cathedral sequence. So the Joker runs into the cathedral like in the final film, and we're going to go into very different versions of the final confrontation. So just to recap, in the original scripts, it was basically just Batman versus Joker in the cathedral. There was no Vicki Vale. Vicki Vale was not part of the big finale. It was just the two of them. There weren't even the Joker thugs either. It was literally just mano a mano, as Joker says in the movie. So, and then they revised it. They kept revising it. There's different versions of the cathedral fight. And the storyboards here show, some of it seems like it draws off the original Sam Hamm draft, and some of it is stuff that I've just never seen before that are not in any of the scripts I found. So we'll try to go a deep dive into that right now. So Joker heads into the cathedral to escape from the cops and get to his helicopter at the top, and an injured Batman goes in to pursue him. We've got that classic shot that definitely was in the movie where the door is open and the silhouette of the Bat comes in with the cape, because come on, that's fucking awesome.
Burton was like, no, this is going in there. I've seen the storyboard. This is my style right here.
Yeah. And so Joker, when he knows that Batman is coming after him, he rips off a rotten handrail, because it's an old-ass cathedral, and he plunges it into the stairs so that he could sabotage part of the stairs to prevent Batman from coming after him. So this causes Batman behind him to fall through.
Again, with this cowl, dude.
And we got a shot of his feet dangling from up above because it was one of the higher steps where that was done. The script says, quote, Batman finds himself dangling precariously in midair, hanging by one hand to an upper step. It would be so much easier to let go. Part of that is because Sam Hamm's script plays around with the idea of Batman facing off against Joker and seeing that as a suicide mission in the Hamm script, to the point where he even debates whether or not to die up there when he's got a bomb, which we'll talk about later. But anyway, here it's him hanging by the stairs, and obviously he's able to get himself out of that so that he can confront the Joker. Now, the next part kind of threw me because it's not at all in any of the scripts, and it is a variation of what Rob was talking about where Commissioner Gordon in this version does not try to lift a huge bell,
moves a bell
in order to get up. So we have an alternate sequence of the cathedral where the police arrive and Vicki Vale is down there, and a Commissioner Gordon with no mustache in the storyboard says, quote, the Batman is in there as well. Surround the cathedral, call up the SWAT team. We'll bring them both in. Vicki Vale is here to hear this. Again, this line is not in any version of the script, so I'm just like, this is interesting that they played around with this. It's kind of just like, let's give Gordon and Vicki something to do. So we have a shot here of Vicki. It looks like she's trying to walk past Commissioner Gordon and the other people to try to get into the cathedral. And then we have the SWAT team that actually make it to the stairs of the cathedral. They did not even make it there in the final film. So they're trying to run up the cathedral, and around this time is, I think, when Joker uses the acid flower to take out the bell. So that's why the next slide is a SWAT team running the other direction down the stairs as the bell comes down. Like, whoops.
Oh, shit.
Yes. And it says the bell sound gets closer and closer. And then we have a storyboard of Vicki talking to Gordon outside and then hearing the bell as it's crashing down. And then another storyboard of Vicki blocked. I think she's trying to run in and she gets blocked by the SWAT team. We're basically just like, yeah, there's no way up there anymore because the bell has landed and the whole stairwell has been completely decimated. So that's an interesting look at an alternative version of where Vicki and Gordon could have been. That does not involve Gordon trying to, use his 70-year-old strength to lift a huge bell and debris. So there we go.
You know what I was thinking, Ben, is this would have been a good time for Batman to use his grapple gun.
I was thinking that too.
Joker and Vicki are going up the stairs at a pace of normal people walking up the stairs.
Yeah.
Batman could have shot that grappling up there and been past him in 2 seconds.
I think it's also like, how long is that line? Because it's a pretty tall cathedral.
That's true. I feel like he's shooting across buildings with it and stuff.
The what?
I feel like he's shooting across buildings, but maybe he's not in Batman 89.
He could do it in a couple steps, too, like shoot up like 5 floors.
Yeah.
And then
that's true.
Get off and then shoot up 5 floors again also.
You probably watched Ghostbusters a couple of days before and thought, well, they did it. I can do this.
I guess so.
I'm in better shape than them. They can go up some stairs and kind of get there and not throw up along the way.
Of rubber.
Exactly. Yeah. I could, he probably thought he could lose a bit of weight while he's going up there. Why not?
Get my exercise in for today.
Yeah.
See some stacked books randomly on one of the floors.
So we've got Joker's feet standing over a trapdoor as he waits for Batman. And the next is Joker looking over from the top, wondering where Batman is. As it says here, he glances casually down at the trapdoor, wondering what all the noise is about. He draws his gun, moves cautiously to the trapdoor, and lifts it a few inches, just enough to see the unconscious form on the stairs. So we then go into the fact that, it says in the... it says Joker hears the slam and moves carefully back towards the hatch, and this is where he finds the unconscious Batman. It says Batman crashes unconscious into frame, and this storyboard just looks like Batman's taking a nap over here.
Joker leans in to give him a kiss.
Yes.
Some makeup gets on his mouth.
This follows the original Sam Hamm draft where Joker found Batman unconscious and unmasks him, finding that he's Bruce Wayne. This is Baby Bat.
Batman takes a shit.
This is a storyboard that I guess is a storyboard of when
I'm taking a screenshot of this, dude. This is amazing.
When Michael Keaton's Batman makes it to the top, and we see him just looking around before the thugs attack him. So that's what it looks like a storyboard of, but man, this does not look flattering.
This should be our thumbnail, dude, for this episode. I'm telling you, we're going to get
That's
this.
That's how much weight he lost going up the stairs.
I don't know what they were thinking on this. Like they deliberately made it look like a baby in a blanket.
It is
it's
true.
Super baggy.
It's true.
Yeah.
This is the artist gave up, dude, on this one. This is like he started at the beginning of the movie. At this point, he was just like, loose
Michael
drapes.
Keaton's not that small compared to the suit. Come on, dude.
Yeah,
it's not flattering.
He's 5'9", not 4'3". I get it. Keaton is short.
Yeah. All right. So it looks like we got more art of the Cathedral confrontation, or maybe this is Axis Chemicals. I'm not really sure, but it's Batman facing off against someone over a great height over here.
It's cool, pretty cool.
Next is Batman hanging upside down and being aware of the bats in the Cathedral, which becomes a key point in the original finale, not in the movie. He hears the sound of the Joker's helicopter on its way, and this is likely, later in a later draft, Joker and Batman have a fight in the Cathedral. Batman gets knocked down, but hears the bats overhead. It says his POV up into Belfry, where there are thousands of bats stirring. Next is the storyboard of Joker awaiting the helicopter, waving it down, next to the gargoyles here. And so during this confrontation, it says here, I don't know why Batman is stomach down on the floor in the storyboard. Again, the storyboard isn't here, but it says he, quote, he cautiously reaches back for his belt and activates the sonar device on his belt. A shrill whine. Yes. So this is backup before there was backup. This is from a version of the script that was from 1986, which predates year one by a year. So this is a storyboard of the bats coming out from the cathedral, swarming around the helicopter, and why the finale was originally set in the cathedral, so that Batman could use the bats in the belfry as a weapon.
Makes sense.
So
that's so awesome.
Also
that should have been in there.
Yeah, this predates year one as well, since it was written a year beforehand. Sam Hamm was asked, like, was this inspired by year one? And he's like, yeah, I didn't even get to read year one. It didn't exist when I wrote the script. I just figured a superhero named Batman would use bats, and I called myself a genius out of it. It's kind of me paraphrasing what he said, but he was kind of like tongue-in-cheek talking about how he's like, oh, this is a great idea.
Look, I fucking hate capes, but I love bats, all right? So...
Yes. So here is the original way Joker was taken out, with him getting swarmed by bats. So it says, Joker standing on handrail, foreground. Batman enters background with his cloud of bats. Batman, close to unconsciousness, again lurches out onto the balcony. Joker foreground, reaching for the ladder. Batman, unseen behind him, goes down on his knees, because I guess he's still fucked up from what happened before. And then we got, this is one of my favorite shots that Dan got for us. He did some, cropping and stuff, but this is the Joker getting swarmed by the bats at the top of the cathedral. Pretty awesome. So I'll read the script on this, and Zach, if you're able to read that last line by the Joker here, you can read that. So it says, at the top of the bell tower, suddenly the air is full of bats, diving and flapping all over the place. The noise from Batman's belt climbs in pitch. As it does, so the bats fly faster. They swarm around above Joker in an ever-thickening black cloud. The swarm of bats sweeps out and engulfs him. He screams, tries to beat them off. Suddenly, Batman steps through the cloud. He grabs Joker, pulling him off the ladder. Batman lifts him bodily up off the ground by the front of his coat. He pushes him back against a gargoyle. Joker struggles, and the gargoyle crumbles, and Joker slips backward. Joker knows he's a dead man, and he smiles. He grabs for Batman's cowl and grips it as he falls. And he says,
I saved the last dance for you.
And then both of them tumble down into the endless darkness. And that's the end of both. Batman dies.
Batman dies in this fucking story? Okay. You had me for a second there.
No, it basically, in the rest of the script, is both of them falling down and Joker cackling on his way, but Batman uses the bat line in order to catch him. Kind of similar to what we got with Batman and Vicki in the movie, where they're both falling and he uses the line to save both of them. But since Joker's not Vicki Vale and Batman's not sleeping with Joker, he's like, yeah, you can fall to your death and die. So that's what ends up happening in what's said to be the shooting script, even though obviously that's not what we got in the movie. But it's one of the final drafts.
You want to get nuts, and the cathedral scene are the most rewritten scenes in the whole movie?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So the other storyboard here says that the Joker falls and exits, bats pour from every aperture. Batman stumbles to the edge and looks down. There's another version here that says the similar thing. Joker falls and exits, but Batman, it says, gains enough consciousness to register the timer. He reaches out and grabs it, throws it. So what is this timer? Well, in another draft, Batman threatened Joker with a bomb before Joker got swarmed by bats. And after Joker died and fell off the top of the cathedral, he debated whether or not to just stay up there with the bomb and let himself die. But instead, he throws it at the Joker's helicopter and kills them in the Sam
Hang on. So either I commit suicide and just die and just give up the cause, or I'll kill those fuckers in the fucking helicopters because just kill them. Wow.
So yeah, I think I'm like him. I like the general idea of him wrestling with, his mortality and stuff. But I think the execution could have used a lot different execution for this, which is why we got a rewritten version of it. But yeah, there's a time bomb in the Sam Hamm script, and I didn't think much of it until 1989batman.com showed more props. One of those was the gas mask, and the other was a time bomb.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
So
that's cool.
It's very much possible that this was built for the movie, and they thought, oh, let's use this, and then they're just like, yeah, let's not do that. Let's do something different. So this may have been intended for the original finale. I'm not really sure. But we do know that Vicki Vale was part of the finale in the movie, so here are storyboards of what actually happened in the cathedral. So you've got them falling, Batman reaching for his utility belt. As they fall, he shoots out, basically, quote, fires his bat thing. As it says in the storyboard.
Bat thing.
Fire my bat thing. And then the hook finds the gargoyle. That, I guess the gargoyle could not hold the Joker, but it can hold Batman and Vicki in the storyboard, because it looks like pretty much the same gargoyle that took out the Joker on this. So
Jack Nicholson was a hefty guy.
he was heavier than both Batman in his suit and Vicki, apparently. So here's an overall just crude storyboard sequence of it. You can tell it's Joker getting swarmed by the bats here, as well as Vicki on the ground. But we could have gotten another scene after this where Batman's body would have fallen, and the police would have thrown, been like, let's go find him, turn him over, now we'll see who this guy is. And they throw off the cape and they find it's Alexander Knox.
That's hilarious.
He did do the training after all, and so Vicki,
man,
Vicki in this version is down below, and so she takes a picture, and Knox is like, "Can I still make the late edition?" As he jokes.
Oh my God,
everyone knows
Knox guy.
Everyone knows he's not really Batman in that. So this scene was actually shot, as we're looking at photos here of Robert Wool on the ground and Pat Hingle's Gordon standing over him. So this was actually shot. Funny enough, I think Robert Wool was asked about this scene, and he has no memory of ever shooting this.
What?
It's interesting.
He was hungover as hell, probably.
It must have been, because I remember listening to a podcast. What about that alternate ending where people thought you were Batman? He's just like, what the hell are you talking about? So
that's why he's lying on the floor there. He's clearly he's been on a night out. He's just
let's just get this done.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude.
So
he totally forgot, huh? I don't know how you do that, but whatever.
I don't know, but anyway, Robert Wool does not have any memory of this, but this is thanks to 1989batman.com with the photos on this. Lastly, as Harvey Dent is talking about the bat signal, Vicki Vale would have run into a bunch of kids dressed as Batman, who apologize and say they were playing Batman. Clearly, they got the bat suits from the Batman store that was cut from Batman Returns. Yes. This is interesting because Vicki's wearing a different outfit than she did in the final scene here. She's wearing like a white hat and a long white coat. She's not wearing that she's not wearing that at all in the different versions of the movie. So I'm not really sure. Or maybe they shot this, and there's a whole other alternate version of the final scene, and then they reshot it later or something like that. But this is the only sort of surviving image of that. So
I love the back of the card that says brains plus beauty equals Vicki. I love that. That's great. Brilliant.
It's card number 222, everybody. You have the Topps trading cards. So yeah, it says sometime after the demise of the Joker, Vicki Vale runs into two young kids dressed up in homemade Batman costumes. Clearly, Gotham City has a new hero.
That's cool.
Also makes me think that some time has passed between Joker's death and when the bat signal shows up, for Vicki to change and for Batman to be enough of a hero for there to be a Batman store selling these bat suits for young kids.
Yeah.
So
and also that they've got faux leather. Enough faux leather to make these costumes, because that's quite an interesting fabric choice that they've got there for the costumes.
Yes, very influenced the CW on their costume stuff. So,
so this was shot, huh?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
It looks like they tried for it, and the kids who weren't able to get the Robin part ended up getting compensated by doing these, mini Batman stuff, I guess. So this is the only existing stuff that we have of this until somebody leaks out more footage or something.
Oh man,
so,
if there was more leaks, it'd be crazy.
I guess the reason why they cut this is because obviously there wouldn't have been photographic proof of there being a Batman because he took the photos,
right?
And then
that's true, yeah.
And then the other being that the whole Knox scene of him unconscious and the suit being on top of him gone as well, so there would be no proof of if there was a Batman. So makes sense.
They should have thought of that before they shot it. They're just like, this doesn't make any sense. Whoops. So that's why this was cut, I'm guessing. And then to end things, we got the storyboard of Batman looking at the bat signal, but he's not at the regular building. I mean, he's at the top of the cathedral, and I don't feel like he's at the cathedral in the final movie.
No.
Yeah, he's just he's on a different building. So that's kind of cool as the final shot. There's also a possibility. No, it's not. I was also thinking that in the movie, he technically is supposed to be at the top of the cathedral in the very beginning, where the family gets mugged, and it said that it would cut to the cathedral, and they look at the gargoyles, and it says one of the gargoyles moves in terms of like how they introduce Batman.
That's cool. That's
cool.
cool.
That is cool
way to plant it. So in the movie, it's very different, where we kind of get that animated shot of Batman walking away from it. It's honestly not as cool as what's described in the script, but that's another possibility of where we could have seen the cathedral and Batman with the gargoyles in the movie. But yeah, these are the deleted scenes and storyboards from it. So let's go around like before and go into like any sort of favorites among these things that you liked, even if it's stuff that I think we can agree most of the stuff is probably good that it wasn't in the final thing. But let's start with Rob.
Loved the Batwing stuff. That for me was really striking to see. And even the whole, I know we were making fun of it a lot, but the whole, the cowl thing, like, you can appreciate the work that's gone in, but at the same time, I mean, come on. But yeah, no, just again, it's really cool to see where their head was at in terms of how they, because it is very close to what we got at the end, and the idea of the bat signal being created by Knox is an interesting concept, but it is a big stretch for them to think, oh, Batman will put two and two together. So he can then swoop down and collect the balloons and fly out. It's almost like that scene in the Wallace and Gromit film, the A Close Shave, when he notices Sean is flicking all the lights and he puts two and two together. You go, right, okay, yeah. So then he swoops into the It's a big stretch like that. But I mean, you guys are going to talk about it in your Patreon section, but that whole Robin sequence thing is very interesting as well.
Definitely. Over to Andrew. I know that you learned a lot because as you said,
I learned the most
audience,
today.
You didn't know a lot about these deleted scenes and stuff. So, what did you think?
Man, I love the bat swarm at the end. I wish that they had that. I kind of feel like out of all the things that they really should have done, that was probably one of them. They I could have had them cut all the rest out and it'd be fine, but Batman using bats with sonar, it's so cool. I know they finally got to it in Begins, but it maybe it makes it to where Batman seems like he's killing the Joker, and then maybe he uses the line to catch the Joker, but then the Joker just fucking, I don't know what they would do at that point, but he has to die at some point or look like he dies or something. But anyway, use the bats. In some way, use the bats. I think that was my favorite part. And then, of course, that funny cowl. that was, I don't know what was going on there, man. That's like the guy just didn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, because clearly there was effort to make it look like that, because you could have just easily just done the traditional Cal stuff and it would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
Zach, were there images or storyboards you hadn't seen?
Hey, most of the storyboards I don't think I had seen. I did like seeing that little prop of the gas mask that he would have used in Vicky's apartment and the little time bomb thing. I don't think I had seen those before. But my favorite is also like Andrew's favorite. I like the original ending of the Cathedral fight with Batman and Joker. And I think I remember reading Sam Hamm's original script where it talks about like Joker's perspective of the helicopter blowing up while he's on the ground, because it was like saying something about like a fireworks show just for me or something like that. It was really creepy and kind of like dark. And I remember reading that I was in high school and thinking like, man, this would have been really cool too. So I'm glad they got to use the Swimmer Bats thing with the Penguin and Batman Returns. You could tell they even wanted to do that in the script with like the scene in the cave. But it seems like very fitting and just very atmospheric and gothic for that scene in the bell tower. So I enjoyed that. I think that I agree with Andrew there. That's one of the scenes that were cut that could have gone back in. And I really actually wish that Halloween, like the little girl saying, is it Halloween? I kind of wish that was in the movie at some point, because it would have been nice to see Keaton's Batman, like, it would have been nice to. We'll see the scene in our Patreon, but I've seen it before too. I think it would have just been cool to see Keaton's Batman save a kid directly.
Yeah,
I don't think you see that in either of the movies, and it would have, especially in this one, it would have added just a little bit more of a heroic note, because as much as I love the opening, it's like, damn, Batman had to wait till after the people were mugged to go and beat up the bad guys. Like, he couldn't save the people like in the process. Like, that would have been really cool. But I think I kind of wish that was there. Yeah.
It's interesting because that's over the head. It's interesting seeing that, because I mean, you're absolutely right. Because I've always questioned that. Why didn't he swoop in quick enough to stop that, any of them getting, well, the dad getting hurt in particular? Because I've always questioned that. But then when you really think about it, the whole scene at the beginning is a big kind of misdirection for the audience to be like, oh my god, we've seen the origin. Are we going to see the origin of Bruce Wayne? And that's why I always think it's quite clever, even to this day, that they didn't explore I mean, they do obviously later on in the film. We do see the origin of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman, or his parents getting shot, should I say. But I do like that misdirection at the beginning, where they're not the Waynes at all. They're just because as that's the purpose of Batman in the first place, is that it happens to anybody. So that's why I do like that whole misdirection scene taking place. But I'm not going to deny, and in because I do like what we get in the final film, but I do think the ideas of the bats is really interesting. But it's very clear that Jack Nicholson had a lot of creative input for the film as a whole, because I think there is that infamous story of him and John Peters. They went to see Phantom of the Opera, and that's why they changed the ending to be what it is, because they wanted that operatic ending, which I love it personally. I think it's bizarre, but it's also it's fantastical. I like it. I like it.
I think it does add more stakes to have Vicki there.
Yes,
on that, where it's like, okay, it's not just you and me over Gotham. Like, there's somebody here whose life is in danger. So I think that was an appropriate thing to take from the Phantom of the Opera. I think that's basically the main thing they took from it was, the final confrontation in the Phantom of the Opera is the main three leads with Christine in the middle. So to kind of have that same dynamic for the finale, I think just ends up working. And again, like, the Bat stuff is really awesome, and I think it fits the Cathedral more than what we got in Batman Returns. Yeah. But I think one of the reasons why is a tidbit that Dan found for us from Anton First, where they said that they really did not want to show Batman directly killing the Joker.
See, I was thinking about that, and fucking in Ninja Turtles 1, fucking Shredder's holding on by one hand or whatever, and something that I can't remember what exactly happens, but something that the Shredder does is what ultimately causes him to fall down and kill himself. Mm-hmm. So if they could basically copy that from a future movie, because that would have been future at that point. But anyway, something along those lines, so he doesn't directly kill him.
Well, here's the thing. You would think, like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. They don't want Batman to kill him. Like, well, that's not really the reason, actually, that they didn't want Joker to kill. Even though, like, creatively, us in 2022 are just like, well, yeah, obviously, that's why. No, it's because they felt the audience would turn against Batman for killing a star like Jack Nicholson.
Oh my God,
that's
ridiculous. That's what Peters thought.
Such a producer hat type of thing, where
Peters just couldn't see it, dude. He just could not imagine that.
We can't have Batman.
His hair was in the way. It was just
yeah.
So I thought that tidbit was fascinating and kind of unfortunate. But that's also kind of why Batman has a less direct role in it, where it seems more that Joker's killed by the gargoyle, not necessarily by Batman, unless you want to say that Batman strategically knew that Joker, that the Cathedral gargoyle would not hold his weight, and so he boloed him into it, and then he knew the weight would cause Joker to fall from the like. It's
that's
kind of more
God shit.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Because he does
a little too much.
Yeah, because he punches him off the cliff after that great gag of "you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses on, would you?"
Yeah.
So he does.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Jack. I think the intention is that he punches him, hoping he just falls to the floor, but obviously Joker falls off to kind of get the upper hand to then pull them off and lend them a hand, obviously. So, yeah, it can be read in so many different ways. Did he kill him or did he not, basically? What was the intention of grappling his ankle to that other gargoyle? And
Right. I think it was just to stop him. And it was like, well, if he... As Ivan Drago says, if he dies, he dies. Like if that's what happens, that's what happens. Because again, obviously Keaton's Batman doesn't, have the no kill rule necessarily in this version. So
because otherwise the guy would have not fallen to his death when he Hurricane Rana'd him.
Yeah, exactly. It will be the access chemicals with all those people. Yeah.
Batman's argument: it was the bell that technically killed him, because when he landed on the bell did the work by breaking his back. Therefore, he killed him, not me.
Therefore, ergo.
Yeah.
The bomb killed the thugs and access chemicals. I didn't kill them.
I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you. Oh, come on, Christian Bale. No. Come on, Nolan, you're better than this.
Oh, man.
Anyway, those are the deleted scenes, and that is superhero stuff you should know.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Big thanks to our research assistant, Dan, for gathering a lot of the visuals of the YouTube experience, a lot of the storyboards I didn't know about, especially from the prop auctions and all the different places that were auctioning off these storyboards and helping me put that together. So big thanks to Dan, and also big thanks to 1989batman.com, where you can see pretty much a bunch of these things that we saw. The ones with watermark on them, they're the ones who hosted this. They're the ones that are keeping the... the 89 sort of tidbits and memorabilia alive on that. So make sure to visit them. And anyway, onwards to our post-credit sequence. This is more concept art of Bob Ringwood's Joker, completely purple, as we can see.
It's cool.
All
That's
purple from head to toe.
Love it.
Interesting bending cane right here. But yeah, this is Bob Ringwood's fashionista style that Zach was talking about. So I found this on one of the trading cards I had when I was just looking through. I'm like, oh, this should have been the previous one. So we're adding that. And then Dan found us some merchandise concept art. Now, it's not as crazy as the unused posters, because these are all sort of images we saw in some way. But it is kind of cool to sort of take a look and browse through these. We got the 3 Jokers before the Jeff Johns did.
That's pretty cool. That's
right?
pretty cool.
That's cool.
We've got Joker on a Joker playing card. In the outfit that he's wearing in the scene where he electrocutes that guy to death. Based on the coloring, it's a little tough to tell whether it's supposed to be flesh tone like in the movie or the traditional Joker white. But that's kind of cool. Other images of Keaton's Batman on here. I think Keaton's Batman was allowed, of course, to be on different merchandise, just not on the poster. Since last time we talked about how they couldn't do artistic interpretations of his face for some reason.
Yeah, it's so weird, man.
Yeah. Here's the Batwing with, as you can see in the front, it looks like the incisor type things are out and ready to capture the parade stuff. We've got Batman with the Batmobile again, like all different variations of the same stuff on there. But I thought it would be cool to add since we do talk about concept art stuff. So
yeah, this looks like it came from. I'm trying to think of the exact wording, but it's like they made the little folders to give out
EPK.
To kind of show
EPKs.
What does that stand for?
Electronic press kit.
Yeah, it's a press kit. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking about. Because there's ones for Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. I've seen different pictures of them, but yeah, they're like press kits. So I always think this is really cool to look at.
Yeah. Or Joker over here. But yeah, a nice little
cool
surprise for all of you guys. Now, on to Joker's Fireside Chat.
And it's that time again, kids, for another Joker's Fireside Chats.
Little Aiden Estuista. He writes to our video talking about the unmade Spider-Man costumes. Dear Uncle Joker, great video. I would love a deep dive of James Cameron's Spider-Man. From a few things I read, it would have been really weird. They planned for an R rating, and the story focused on a Peter becoming Spider-Man and a man. Peter's learning his spider powers would parallel his sexual awakening, which concluded in a sex scene with Mary Jane on top of a skyscraper. That sounds steamy.
Yes.
See,
sounds like we need to cover that.
It sounds like the Hobgoblin is doing these readings this time around. Rather, but
yeah, if it's for Spider-Man, it certainly is.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely have to tackle that one. That'll be coming up soon.
That's there's always that people pretty much speculate that Stan Lee put in the themes of puberty right into Spider-Man, shooting webs and shit. You know what I mean? So
I'm gonna say that, yeah.
I mean, it's there, and I think that's kind of interesting. And also, what's his name? Stan Lee's wife said that in an interview that she did feel that Peter Parker was the most like Stan Lee, a young Stan Lee.
Interesting.
And those are her words. So that was always so interesting. Stan Lee put himself the most in Peter Parker, I guess.
Yes. And she knew because she also had the sexual awakening with him on top of a skyscraper.
I guess so, yeah.
Jim Cameron draft. So yeah, that's what that's drawing from, clearly.
Wow.
Yes. Anyway, on to the next one.
Little Rosemary Farrell. Little Rosemary Farrell writes, Dear Uncle Joker, for me, Bob Hoskins from 1980 onwards until he died was perfect for every incarnation of the Penguin. Bar Batman Returns. Seriously, go look at concept art or certain comic iterations of the character. Bob would have owned it. Really thought Nolan's universe would have found a role for him throughout the trilogy, kinda like how he used Scarecrow in all three. Thank you, Rosemary.
Thank you.
Rosemary. Yeah.
I love that idea. I love that casting
great.
idea. Yeah, wow.
No, Hoskins would have been great. Especially because this specific idea that Rosemary has, where like, what if he was kind of a gangster in all three movies? I'm just like, on one hand, it's just like, okay, Bob Hoskins in the Nolan trilogy, he seems a little old. But then you're just like, well, what if he replaced Falcone and he's in all three and that type of thing? I'm like, it doesn't really matter that he's that old. He's supposed to be old. He's supposed to be an old gangster in this, alternate version of things. So anyway, it would have been really awesome. Would have been great casting, I think, in, as you said, 1980 onwards. So it could have been the Mankiewicz script. Could have been, Batman 2 by Sam Hamm. Could have been some later incarnations around even the Nolan version. So yeah, I think that's awesome.
And to think he could have been Wolverine as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
That would have been something.
Not quite as perfect.
Oh man, I didn't know about that. They wanted him in a comic book movie for the longest time, huh?
Yes.
They wanted fucking Glenn Danzig as Wolverine. You guys know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd heard about that.
Yeah. He would have been a little better if he could act, but that's another story. That's another story, isn't it?
It's a small thing, though. It's a
small. Yeah.
All right, and the last one.
This letter comes from little 1995 Batman. That's a weird name for a kid, but we're gonna go with it. And he wrote this after watching the video about how Max Schreck was never Harvey Dent. All right, little 1995 writes, Dear Uncle Joker, awesome. Another Bat movie myth busted. Keep up the good work. Well, you're very welcome, 1995.
Yes. So, 1995 Batman on his channel as well as the website is kind of the Schumacher equivalent to the 1989 Batman website, or so. He definitely has a lot of the different deleted scenes, talk about merchandising type stuff. So, thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you for being a fan of our show.
Thank you.
At some point we are going to definitely cover Batman Forever, and we could I don't know, we could maybe use some help, so
yes,
putting that out there.
Indeed,
yes. I believe that's the end of the Joker's Fireside Chat.
And that was Uncle Joker's Fireside Chats. Superhero Stuff You Should Know is a part of the HyperX Podcast Network.
HyperX is our sponsor and the maker of the acclaimed Quadcast and Quadcast S microphones.
Quadcast USB mics look and sound amazing, and they're packed with features.
With 4 selectable polar patterns, you'll get great sound no matter what you're recording.
The included shock mount and pop filter mean you won't have to shell out extra cash for a great setup.
Then there's the eye-catching LED indicator and tap-to-mute sensor, so you can tap in and tap out to stop broadcast accidents.
It's time for you to tap in with the HyperX Quadcast and Quadcast S. Indeed, thank you.
Over to Andrew.
Oh, now we made it, everybody. All right. So, we want to thank our Patreones, Shasta Leomo, Super Inframan, Douglas P. Dan D, Aaron Willett, Nick Noir, Jeffrey R. Asgers Webb, Jeremy H., Alex of the What Mean Podcast, Ian Justice, Jared P., Jeremy H., Rochelle L., Matthew B., Skylar, TD, Sketchcraft, Braxton W., Renee V., and JD. Also, our other supporters, Sparkageddon, SCCT Productions, Robert Schumann, Kooky Noms, Matt Herring, Elijah B., Shamrock Balls, Ian H., Walter the Wobot, John Wells, Rye Guy, Jackson Putnam, Tway N., Watson, who is Stage Bat on Instagram, and Logan Wood, who is Shane Helms 121 on Instagram. All right? And then, please join the Patreon. That's patreon.com/superherostuffpod. We have the $1 tier, $5 tier, and the $10 tier. $1 tier gets you the shout-out. $5 tier gets you the whole other show, where that's released every Friday. Cancel anytime. It's more deep dive. It's reviews. It's discussions. It's everything you want in a $5 tier podcast. And the $10 tier, monthly live show, monthly meetup. Get to react to things with us once a month. You get everything from the $1 tier and the $5 tier, plus the $10 tier. And we're reacting to deleted scenes from Batman 89, huh? Coming up.
Well, deleted scenes in general, not just Batman 89,
oh,
but
shit.
also Batman Forever, and also ones that I haven't seen from a certain animated film called the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, shit. Woo. Wow, deleted scenes from animated. Nice. That's just storyboards and shit, probably, right?
Some of them are, it looks like. So I haven't seen them all the way because I'm waiting for the actual episode, but yeah, it's going to be a whole compilation of different deleted scenes over the years, so...
Fresh react from you, Ben. That's rare.
Yeah.
That's rare. All right. Okay. We made it again. Superhero Stuff Pod merch. We got it at the Redbubble store at superhousepod.redbubble.com, and we got the Superhero Stuff Pod.threadless.com. One of those does have Jokula. One of them does not. I've been forgetting for a year. Anyway, get your Bedman Indeed Wizard Bug shirts and shower curtains.
Which one has them?
I forget. Anyway, artwork by Steph Santa Cruz. And it's been trickling in. We got the audio coming in, guys. Thank you for that. Can be cool voice actor work. or it can be just, saying hey to us in an audio form, or a bold statement if you want. Love to hear it all. So anyway, send an audio clip to superhousepodcast@gmail.com. I'm Thunderwolf Drew on Instagram and Twitter. Thunderwolf lives on YouTube. ThunderwolfDrew.com is my portfolio site. AmanoRecon.com. That's AMANORECON.com. It's a little thing I've been working on. This poster right here is from Zacatavius. And what this is a original idea I'm working on with some friends. It is going to be an Indiegogo campaign, and the whole idea is it's going to be a show, and it's basically make an R-rated Power Rangers, but combine it with conspiracy theories, X-Files, and some comedy too as well. Got to have some comedy in there, but it's a horror comedy. Let's not forget that. So there's a lot of blood. That's where the R-rated thing comes in. And that's coming at some point. Ben?
Shout out to Comic Capital on Instagram for your support, as well as the Everything Entertainment Club on Clubhouse, where Rob and I first met. You can follow our social media. On Twitter, we are Superhouse Pod. On Instagram, we are Superhero Stuff Pod. TikTok, Superhero Stuff Pod. Vero, Superhero Stuff Pod. My website is benwanrider.com, where you can read my Gotham script called Gotham Vampire, where young Bruce faces off against the Mad Monk, an original Golden Age villain from way back in 1939, as well as my spec script for Elementary called The Death of Sherlock Holmes, a modern update on the classic story The Adventure of the Dying Detective by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. My YouTube channel is in the description below, where you can also check out my project of Doctor Who, The Ronin of Time, where the 8th Doctor meets Miyamoto Musashi. And you can also follow my Instagram at benwanrider, as well as my cat's Instagram, my son, Alfie. Alfie Pennyworth Cat is the Instagram handle as of this recording. It is his gotcha day, so I will be celebrating with him.
Oh,
later,
wow.
Giving him all the treats that he wants.
Is that the name of it, the Gotcha Day?
Gotcha Day.
Yeah.
I never even heard of that.
Since I got him, yeah. So,
well, goddamn.
And if you also celebrate Gotcha Day, or you just have a cat in general, you can get the Whisker Box, the only cat box for the crazy cat lady and gent. But if you're a crazy dog person instead, that's okay too, because you can get the Bark Box, y'all. Give your dog exactly what they want. A box full of goodies, bones, toys, treats, all sorts of stuff. You can get that using our promo link, where you can get the first month off valued at $35. You can get the first month off for free. And you can find
got WWE up there too.
Yeah, you get WWE.
I just saw that.
Yeah. You can enroll your dog in wrestling.
I love it.
For free, guys. Just remember that. A free month. A free month.
One free month to enroll your dog into wrestling.
Yeah, why not, man?
Especially that little pug.
Yeah.
Don't you love your dog? I mean, jeez.
Yes. Bone. If any Spider-Man fans with a dog has a dog named Bonesaw will be ready for that type of match.
That would be awesome, actually.
You can also check out superherostuffpod.com/shop, where you can check out all sorts of goodies, the BarkBox link, whispered bidets for your hiney, Amazon affiliate links to get all sorts of stuff, including the Batman Definitive History of the Dark Knight book, a huge book, 80th anniversary. We interviewed one of the co-authors, Andrew Farago, and we frequently use the concept art in that book for our episodes. So
it's like, what, 600 pages? Like, you get your bang for your buck on this one, guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you want to support us and get that book, you can get that promo link from superherostuffpod.com/shop, where you can get that from Amazon. That'll kick back a little bit to us and add, a book for your collection where you can browse concept art for yourself. So check that out. And that is it for me. Over to Zach.
Well, it's that time of the episode again. We're almost done talking. Most of you have probably checked out by now. But if you haven't, and you might be interested in seeing some of the doodles that I do, you can go to ZacharyJacksonBrownArt.com, and you can also follow me on the various social media websites like Instagrams and TikToks. Just type in Zachary Jackson Brown Art, and I'll pop up, and you can see all the doodle-doos that I do.
And then finally, our guest Rob. I have pulled up your poster of Living in Crime Alley next to the unused Batman '89 concept poster.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you very much. So yeah, my name is Rob Ayling. I'm the writer and director of a Batman fan film called Living in Crime Alley, which is on YouTube now. It's done all right in the festival circuit.
It's won a lot of awards.
It's done okay. It's done all right.
He's being modest.
Being very modest. But yeah, it tells the story of a single father trying to bring up their daughter, who is a big fan of The Dark Knight, in one of the most deprived areas in Gotham, known to citizens as Park Row, also known as Crime Alley. And yeah, check it out. It's on YouTube. And leave a comment, like, share. That would be really nice. And let me know your thoughts, of course, if you love it or if you hate it. Trust me, there are those who really are vocal. Those reviews will be met. You can follow me on Instagram at Rob Ayling and on Twitter at Rob Ayling Film. But you can also check out my other film work and my upcoming work on robailing.com.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, Rob.
Always.
And we want you to do us a favor.
I want you to tell all your friends about us.
Nothing?
American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
Okay, good.